Vikings, let's win this game.
Vikings fans, a new signing has just gone down in Minnesota. There is also an update on injured players. The quarterback room is turning into a full-on puzzle right in the middle of Christmas week. A new strategy is trying to hold things together under a national spotlight. The running game is under threat. And at the end of it all, there is a heavy contract decision involving one of the biggest symbols in franchise history. This is something that hits straight at who lives and breathes Vikings football. Stick around because the last one shakes everyone who wears purple and gold. But before we get into it, real quick with me here, subscribe to the channel. It is completely free and helps us a ton to keep bringing Vikings news every single day. And drop a comment telling us what you expect from this game and from the rest of the season. This is straight up Bleacher Talk. All right, let's talk about what really hurts. J.J. McCarthy will not play on Christmas against the Lions. A fracture in his throwing hand. Kevin O'Connell said it is a very small fracture, but small or not, it keeps the kid out and changes everything. We are already out of the playoffs, I know that. Still, nobody likes seeing the team hit the holiday with the quarterback sidelined. What gets me is how the movie keeps repeating. McCarthy is 22 years old, and every time he starts to build momentum, another hit shows up. First it was the knee in his rookie year, then the ankle, then a concussion, now the hand. And it is not just that's football. For a young quarterback, rhythm matters, confidence matters, and fans in purple and gold at least wanted to end the year watching a clean stretch from him. Speaking very plainly, the numbers were not exactly screaming savior either. He put up 1,450 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions in 9 games. That weighs on you. Still, I prefer to look at the context. The offensive line did not always help. The run game never found consistency. And when the playbook becomes predictable, a young quarterback turns into an easy target. Even so, this was his chance to close the season with something to carry through the winter. That is where Max Brosmer comes in. He will be the starter on Thursday, at home, inside US Bank Stadium. The entire football world will be watching. I liked what he did against the Giants when he came in during the second half. It was simple. It was safe. 7 completions on 9 attempts. No hero ball. He also led that long drive late to set up Will Reichard for the game-winning kick. That felt like, okay, I can hold this together. Now let's be real. Opening against Detroit is no walk in the park. Even with the Lions' defense being inconsistent, they hit hard and play with an annoying edge. And Brosmer already has that ugly memory from Seattle. 4 interceptions, a 26-0 loss nobody wants to relive. It gives you chills. But this is also where players are made. He said his focus is playing slow, not rushing reads, not getting ahead of himself. I like that mindset. A quarterback who knows how to slow the game down does not give the ball away for free. There is another layer here too. Without McCarthy, the offense leans even more on Justin Jefferson and quick decisions. I want to see O'Connell help the kid with cleaner calls, more play action, shorter routes, better rhythm. A plan that does not demand heroics every snap. If Brosmer does the basics well, Minnesota can absolutely ruin Detroit's Christmas. Full spoiler mode. You only get this kind of bleacher-level read here because fans feel the weight of this moment. And I want to hear from you. What would you do with the game plan without McCarthy? Drop it in the comments. And hang tight, because this quarterback situation does not stop with the starter. There is more movement coming in the locker room, and it changes the conversation heading into the next topic. Look, if you thought the quarterback story ended with Brosmer as the starter, forget it. The Vikings went out and brought back Brett Rypien. Yes, that Brett Rypien. Claimed off waivers right before Week 17 against the Lions. This is not a feel-good headline. It is a sign that the quarterback room has lived in emergency mode all season. Rypien is not here to be a hero. He is here because the roster is patched together at that position. J.J. McCarthy is out with the hand fracture. Carson Wentz is on injured reserve after shoulder surgery. That leaves Max Brosmer as the starter, with John Wolford also in the mix. So you look at the sideline and think, if something happens, who goes in? In that moment, having a guy who already knows the system is huge. And Rypien knows it. He has been here before. He also worked with Kevin O'Connell earlier in the same offensive tree. That matters. It is not just memorizing plays. It is understanding how the coach wants reads made. It is knowing the tempo of practice. It is fitting into the locker room without getting lost. Late in the season, that can matter more than a big arm on a newcomer who just walked in. Now let's talk about the player himself. 7-year career, undrafted, stops with the Bears, Bengals, Broncos, Rams, Jets, and Seahawks. The numbers do not scare anyone. 950 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. A 2-2 record as a starter. He is a road quarterback, the kind of guy you put in to keep the bus moving. If I am being direct, his value here is about keeping the team from tripping over itself. a bad interception, a communication delay, a busted snap because of poor timing. Those things kill a team before halftime, and in a nationally televised Christmas game, you do not want to embarrass yourself at home wearing purple and gold. There is also something else that matters. O'Connell has praised Rypien's behind-the-scenes work, his preparation, how he helps the quarterback room, how he understands the system even when he is not the guy on Sunday. For a team that has been cycling quarterbacks all year, that is like a life preserver in icy water. You do not grab it because you love it. You grab it because you need it. Even out of the playoff race, Minnesota can still spoil Detroit's day. There are veterans playing for pride, players fighting for contracts, fans who just want a respectable finish, and quarterback depth helps keep that alive. The vibe is this: Vikings football in 2025 turned into a survival test at the most important position in the sport. And when a coach has to add depth this late, you know the grind has been real. Stay with me because the next part is the most interesting piece for Thursday. Brosmer talked about how he wants to play, and that approach could shape the entire afternoon. He wants to go slower, and that says a lot about how this offense plans to breathe. There is a line from Max Brosmer that has been stuck in my head: play slow. That is what he keeps repeating before his second career start, and it comes on Christmas against the Lions inside US Bank Stadium. I like that answer. A young quarterback who tries to play too fast becomes prey. Reads do not close. Footwork breaks down. And then comes the mistake that blows the game open. The context is clear. He entered in the second half against the Giants after J.J. McCarthy went down. The game was tight at 13-10. Road game, pressure situation. Brosmer did the basics with composure. 7 completions on 9 attempts for 52 yards. No forcing plays. The highlight was that long drive late. 17 plays bleeding the clock. It put the team in position for Will Reichard's kick. To me, that was the most NFL moment of his performance. Control, rhythm, protecting the football. Then comes the comparison nobody wants to revisit, but has to. His first start against Seattle was a nightmare. 4 interceptions and a 26-0 loss that leaves scars. But Brosmer said something I respect. You cannot define your entire career by one game. He even talked about the younger version of himself dreaming of the NFL. When I heard that, I thought, okay, this kid has some backbone. At the core, my expectation is simple: maturity. I want to see clean drops, quick decisions when they are there, and no shame in taking the check down. Fans love the deep shot, I get it, but backup quarterback football is a different sport. You win by staying on schedule, not by chasing highlights. O'Connell also praised Brosmer's performance in New York. He talked about progressions, he talked about timing, he talked about how his feet matched his reads, and he mentioned that big third down throw to Justin Jefferson. That took guts, that took anticipation. That was placing the ball where only Jefferson could get it. When you hit a throw like that, you earn respect in the huddle fast. The challenge now is the turnaround. Short week, tight preparation window, and the opponent is no joke. Detroit brings physicality up front. They have athletes on defense. And even with flaws, they know how to speed the game up. So playing slow does not mean standing still. It means playing with clarity. It means not getting ahead of yourself. It means not seeing ghosts. This is where the bleacher debate kicks in. How do you help this kid? For me, it is simple. Safe calls on early downs, a reliable run game, play action to open windows, and a scripted passing plan that builds confidence early. If he starts 3 for 3, the whole afternoon changes. If he forces one early throw, the stadium tightens up. Then the game snowballs. I like hearing a quarterback talk about mental stability. That is the difference between guys who survive and guys who break in this league. Fans in purple and gold have seen too many quarterbacks crack. I do not want to see another one. And since we are talking about helping Brosmer, I need your take. What is the realistic ceiling for him in this game? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this is a group conversation. And stay with me because if the run game does not show up, Christmas gets uncomfortable fast, and there is a name in the backfield that may not see the field. Man, this one has the feel of a game where the offense needs help from the run game, and that is exactly where the bad news hits. Jordan Mason is becoming a long shot to play on Christmas against the Lions. An ankle injury. He left the Giants game and barely saw the field. 4 snaps. 4. That is nothing. And when a running back goes down like that, a short week becomes your worst enemy. The word out of Minnesota is not an official out, but the signal is strong. The team already elevated Ty Chandler from the practice squad. To me, that says they are preparing for a thinner backfield. Mason also missed practice time. In a normal week, that is bad. In a Christmas week with limited prep, it is worse. And here is what that means in real terms. The offense becomes more exposed than it should be. With Max Brosmer starting, the ideal plan is to take weight off his arm, control the clock, avoid third and long. But if the running back rotation turns into a patch job, the Lions' defense will lean into the pass. Then the kid has to throw more than he should. That is where things get dangerous. So who is left? Aaron Jones becomes the centerpiece of the backfield. And he is good, no question. But you cannot ask for 30 touches and pretend everything is fine, especially on a team already eliminated and trying to protect veteran bodies. That brings Chandler and Xavier Scott into the mix. Scott played snaps against the Giants and barely touched the ball. 2 carries for 4 yards. That does not inspire much confidence in building an entire plan around them. And there are more bodies banged up this week. The practice report also listed T.J. Hawkinson as a non-participant, along with offensive line names. It all stacks up and creates that ugly question. How do you run an efficient offense when pieces are missing everywhere? That is when fans in purple and gold start staring at the playbook and hoping for creativity from O'Connell. If Mason cannot go, I expect more pre-snap motion, more screens, more short passes that act like runs. And I want to see Jefferson and the rest of the group stretching the field only when the rhythm is under control. You cannot throw Brosmer into the fire and say, figure it out. I know this team is not playing for January, but I will not accept them walking into a Christmas home game just to go through the motions. Defend the North is not a slogan. It is an attitude. It is proof that the locker room is still alive. And stay with me, because the next story is heavier than any Thursday injury. It hits identity. It hits leadership. And it involves a name that represents an entire era of Vikings football. All right, breathe with me for a second. This one is not just about 2026. It is about who this franchise really is. The name is Harrison Smith. And the conversation circling right now is simple and heavy. He might be nearing the end. Not because the team wants him gone, but because there comes a point when the body and life itself speak louder. Alec Lewis of The Athletic raised this scenario and laid out possible paths. One is internal. Jay Ward has received more opportunities in the second half of the season. The other is looking at the market for a replacement. That is where names like Brian Cook from the Chiefs come up. Quentin Lake and Alohi Gilman were also mentioned. There is even the idea of drafting a high-end safety like Caleb Downs if he is available. There is one thing I cannot pretend is easy here. Thinking about after the hitman leaves a hollow feeling. Harrison is not just a safety. He is the team's temperature gauge. He is the guy who lines everyone up when things fall apart. He is the veteran who does not need to raise his voice to be heard. And when he is on the field, opponents feel it, even with age 36 moving toward 37. Then comes the part that makes everyone uneasy: money and the salary cap. People talk about a cap deficit in 2026. They talk about cuts and goodbyes. But in Harrison's case, the math does not fully dictate the decision. His contract is still very manageable. Cutting him would not even create massive savings. So the real question is different. Does he still want to play? Does he still want to step onto frozen turf every Sunday and hit people? If he chooses to walk away, the locker room loses a rare voice. It loses someone who stayed through good years and bad without running. Fans in purple and gold have watched too many leaders leave in awkward ways. Harrison has always been the opposite: quiet, loyal, effective. As for Brian Cook, the talk is that he would be expensive, a projected deal worth tens of millions of dollars. And he is a very good player, no doubt. But it raises a real question. Do you want to spend big at safety right now, or find a cheaper solution and put resources where the roster is bleeding? The draft also enters the conversation. Field Yates has already projected Caleb Downs to go high. If he somehow falls into your lap, great. But that is a lottery, and Minnesota's pick may not be in a comfortable range. In the end, this story is a reminder. The Vikings are at a turning point, and when a franchise icon like Harrison Smith becomes a maybe, the entire season feels heavier. That is where everything we talked about today starts pointing in the same direction. You see how all of this connects. J.J. McCarthy being out on Christmas instantly shifts the mood of the offense. Bringing in Brett Rypien screams how improvised the quarterback position has been all year. Max Brosmer trying to play calm is the stubborn hope of who lives and breathes Vikings football. And if Jordan Mason cannot go, the run game becomes a test of patience. Add that to the weight of hearing maybe attached to Harrison Smith, and it tightens your chest a little. I will say something bold. This team is not just closing out a season. It is choosing the identity it will carry into the next chapter. If mistakes are coming, let them come with fight. Let them come with pride. Defend the North even when the scoreboard does not cooperate. And now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment. This space belongs to everyone who lives and breathes Vikings football. Tell me what you would change as you look ahead to 2026. Stay tuned. SKOL Vikings, let's go!